Hello and welcome to episode number 14 of Just Chillin'. I am one of your hosts, Sean Hoffman.
And I am your other host, Andy Bell.
First, I want to take a second. I'm just gonna derail the whole thing in the first 30 seconds. I want to take a minute
Yay!
and I want to say a huge, huge thank you to Mr. Eric Strothers for that amazing episode last week. It's by far our best episode. I don't know how we're going to top it. We should probably just end this and publish it so we can just get it out of the way. But that was awesome. Like I've never listened to one of our own episodes and been like, man, that was good. That was good stuff. But last week was killer. And I want to say a huge, huge thank you to Eric for that, taking the time.
Yeah, I'm still buzzing, mate. I yeah, I've been on quite the high over the last week about that episode. It, it almost gave us a little bit of credibility as being a proper podcast. No, it was awesome, man. And I mean, before we started just how busy the guy is, and he had to go off. I think he was going off that evening for a gig, um, and he gave us not only time, but he gave us more time than I expected. Um, and while I was stressing about the limited time that he had, he kept volunteering more stuff, and I was thinking, is he okay with this? Is he okay with this? So I was absolutely stoked. It was superb. Thank you so much, Eric, again.
Nothing is better than when the superstars make time for their fans.
Yeah,
That's that
exactly,
is
exactly.
yeah, you can squeeze this into a busy schedule, but no. All joking aside, that was awesome. Second order of affairs that I want to get out of the way. I said it at the end of the last episode, but I want to front load it a little bit more this time. Um, Another huge thank you to our friend Chris Hall for our
Mm.
amazing new uh cover art, our new artwork. Um, Awesome. Like it's words can't describe how thrilled I am, one, to be personified with the blonde wig on and all that, but it's just I love it. It turned out a billion% better than I could have ever imagined. I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, Chris is a really, really good guy, and I really appreciate his friendship, and I appreciate him um, doing things like that for us because he is a talent, and um, uh, talented people typically come at a premium, but he's good value to his mates anyway. So thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, you are a ledge.
Another superstar making time for his fans. Appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's either
But
taking time or pity. I don't know. I can't
yeah,
work out what it is yet. Oh, bless them.
we'll
They'll-
find out sooner or later, I'm sure.
They might make it to episode 15. You never know. Let's give them a bit of a bunk up. Let's give them a bit of a helping hand.
But anyways, man, how are you doing? How's your week? What's going on?
I'm good, buddy. It's been a weird week. I've been out again. Had another trip with work. But it was properly full on. I mean, I was again because I work with many many people from very many different countries. We had to hook up, and we hooked up in Madrid, which again sounds salubrious and fantastic. And Madrid itself, I have been and enjoyed it as a private person, but unfortunately, we were there strictly for work, and it was properly full on for 3 days. 8 in the morning start, 8 o'clock at the very very earliest. We finished in the evening. Didn't get
Whew.
to see awful lot of the city at all, which is a shame because Madrid is a beautiful city and beautiful people with fantastic food. So I didn't get to see an awful lot of the place. On the food front, I was very lucky on my last night that we had a little bit of time. I mean, the wonderful thing about Madrid or Spain in general is that they tend to eat late, very, very late. So we finished about, let's say, 8 o'clock in the evening, by which time we need feeding. So we went to a local restaurant that was highly recommended, and uh, we got there for 8 or just after 8, should we say, for a couple of aperitifs and a few glasses of wine, and the kitchen staff hadn't even turned up yet. They don't turn up until 9 o'clock.
Wow.
So they take orders um, basically at 9 and keep you well oiled, shall we say, until the food turns up about 9:30, 9:45. So yeah, it was. We ate very, very late, but the food was delicious, absolutely delicious, as you'd expect. You know, the typical, very, very stereotypical Spanish food with paella and jamon, and but I chose something different, and I chose the local monkfish, and I have to say it was delightful. Sorry, we're turning into a Jimmy Dice cuisine podcast, aren't we? But yeah, no, I had probably
That
some of the
that's
best
a
fish
that's a
I've
good
had in
thing, by
quite a
the
few
way.
years. Oh yeah, yeah,
That's a
I'm
good
not
thing.
complaining, but
Yeah.
I'm not complaining at all because it was absolutely delicious, absolutely
Nice.
delicious. I'd never had fish cooked quite as exquisitely as that for quite a few years. And bearing in mind, I was born and brought up by the sea on the coast, living in a fishing village, um, and this was really, really well done. Um, anyway, that was the trip to Madrid. Apart from that, um, we haven't done an awful lot because uh, certainly on the downside of the trip, I've been absolutely shattered. I bought a new mattress, if that's exciting. So we as we're getting older, we're realizing that our joints and our aches and pains are getting us down. So we bought a new mattress that we haven't done for quite a few years now, and spent a few bucks on it because sleep is really important to both of us. So that turned up, and it is amazing. It's properly amazing. I feel as if I've deprived us as a married couple for the last 10 years or so by sleeping on an inferior mattress. It's amazing what can happen when you actually spend a little bit of money and do a little bit of research on your sleeping patterns. So that's been great. Um, and then the downside, about about a month or two ago, I started noticing, um, uh, uh, should we say, a rapidly deteriorating eyesight in my right eye, and I thought to myself, "Oh crikey, that's not good. I know I'm getting old, but it shouldn't be that quick that my eyesight's going because my eyesight, touch wood, has been pretty good." Anyway, I found out last week that I actually have a cataract, which is
Ooh.
not which is not it's not actually common for people under 65. So that made me feel like shit. But because of uh
You
my
party too
very,
hard.
very
You party
high,
too hard.
well, it's most probably associated with it being my strongest eye, number one of the two, because I do have two. And my high VDU usage, or my high monitor usage, and it's because of the, should we say, the overstrain on my or my over reliance on my right eye that they believe has caused this cataract, which is and I didn't realize there are different grades and different flavors of cataract that you can get, but mine would be associated with someone that spends way too much time um, behind a monitor. So
Can you
that's
do
going
me
to
a
be. But
favor?
luckily,
Can
yeah,
you do me a favor real quick? Can you turn down your monitor brightness for me real quick? I know we were just talking about that before before the recording, and you're like, "Look, it's
it,
like a light." And I'm like, "You
it's a,
can go ahead
it's
and
a
turn that
soft
right
light.
back down."
It's
Yeah.
well, there's two things. A, it's a soft light, purposely designed to give me light. And secondly, I can't see out of this right eye at the moment anyway, so I'm absolutely fine. Yeah, that's going to be done, and it's going to be done quickly as well. Which, I mean, the great thing is it's quite common. And so yeah, so a 2 weeks, sorry, a week on Tuesday next week. So the week after that, it gets done, and they'll sort me out, and that
Hell yeah, man.
should last the rest of my lifetime, which is great.
Hell yeah.
Bit of a weird one though. Bearing in mind, I despite appearances, I'm nowhere near 65, not yet anyway. Got a few years before I get there yet. What about your
See,
week, mate? That, I
I
mean,
came in I came into this podcast consciously this week. I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna make a joke. I'm not gonna like
no,
like I
and then my
I'm not gonna
and then my and then my body lets me down, and actually sustains the bit for you. So you're
yeah.
okay. My own body's doing it to me now.
So my week my week's been pretty uneventful. I do wanna, I'll follow your similar pattern. This morning I made some eggs. I just kind of got I'm not a breakfast guy, but I just got like a stick. I got a stick there and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make some eggs. And I just like put some rosemary in, a little butter, a little smidge of green cheese, a couple other things. And like I made some eggs. And then I got in trouble for only making myself eggs, and then I had to make Madison eggs for lunch. Um, yeah, I did following up with the food bit. Um, and the mattress conversation was pretty interesting because I for the longest time was a mattresses. There's good mattresses, bad mattresses, but I never really cared. Or bedding is bedding.
Yeah,
But Madison kind of has formally come from like the hospitality world and has educated me over the years on like the not just like thread count, but like types of sheets, winter sheets, summer sheets,
yeah,
uh
yeah.
like and so I have been living the dream. And so I know she'd never get on a special podcast with me to talk about, the ins and outs of bedding and how to live a much better life because sleep is important. Uh, but if you ever need tips or anything like that, she knows what's up. I live a very happy sleep life. Best pillows, best sheets ever, best
Could
mattress.
we not? Could we not have a spin-off podcast called Just Linen?
Just linen, or just I was gonna say just sleeping, but just linen is better. I like that. That is that. I'm gonna write that down. Just linen. That's awesome. That's so good. She's gonna be like, no, I'll send you a Google Doc with some links in it. Um, but no, there's it that yeah, it's I love my sheets. Um, and on the eyes thing, that's actually really interesting because my mom had to have something similar, way worse, obviously way older than
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Had to have something similar done. And what was funny was she had the cataracts removed, but it also like as you get older, your eyes tend to yellow for multitude of reasons. And we've always complained to her for years and years and years about how bright her TV is, or like she'll have all like those recessed lighting in her home that's like that really blue bright light. But
yeah, yeah,
after
yeah, yeah.
when she had those cataracts removed, it actually corrects the yellowing as well. And
Oh
so
wow.
she got home and she's like, "Oh my god, has my TV always been this bright? Like it's
Yeah.
so bright in here. It's so white. It's like it's not yellow and like warm like it always been." It's like, "No, your house has always been this way." And so, I don't know. I thought that was interesting as well. It's like I never knew that one, I never knew it got that bad, the yellowing. But I didn't know that the laser eye treatment for like cataracts and laser eye surgery
Well,
and things like
dude,
that could correct that as well.
I never. It's one of those things that, unlike, so what you're describing is exactly what we've experienced with my in-laws, with Lucy's mum and dad, where you go into their house and you watch some TV, and the TV it looks like a cartoon because it's so vibrantly bright. I
Yeah.
mean, the grass is green. I mean,
Yeah.
lime green. You know, the water is a deep blue. It's almost aqua. You know, it really is aquamarine. And in itself, it gives you a migraine. But but I haven't experienced anything like that, which is the reason why this kind of crept up in the latest weeks. And I just think it may well have something to do with fatigue as well. But there's a whole bunch of it's although cataract surgery in general is pretty much reserved for the older folk. What they're doing for me is very much akin to anyone there's a high volume of VDU. Go on, can't believe I'm still using this acronym. Anyway, using a lot of monitor work, and so if there's one lesson or one piece of advice I can give to anyone across our family and friends this evening is just look after your eyes, and when you do get your next test, be very clear that you do a lot of monitor work because it will help you.
Wear
Anyway,
the sunglasses when you look at the eclipse. Step 1.
yeah, that's another one. There's another one. What about news, mate? I've got a couple of things, but only a couple of things because I have been out of the picture again this week. What about news? Let's flip this. Let's flip the discussion to you first on this. Have you picked up anything?
So the first bit of news that I have is more personal. I realized how dirty my floors were because my vacuum broke, and then I bought a new one, and it's like, whoa, that old vacuum was not doing great. And so that was the first bit of news, a little bit of a shock. But moving on to more broader news, not a whole lot of news, just mostly some trailers. Like that's my main things.
Yeah,
Um, the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer I thought looked really cool. I'm excited for that movie. I think the X-Men cartoon, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a bit, has
yeah,
got me like I've always enjoyed those movies, but I've never been like, I'm gonna go see that in the theater. It's always been like, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But this one I'm
yeah.
like, I'm feeling it. There's just some it's the hype, it's the fact that it's not completely spoiled. Um it's kind of it feels like the start of something new. Like, um, like there's something's gonna happen in this. It's gonna be like the the opening the floodgates to like new exciting content going forward, and like it's not too deep, it's not too weird, but it could be a good time. So I saw that. Did you have a chance to
There's a
watch it?
I did, and I thought there is something. There was something reassuring. There was something comforting about it as well because it's like uh, yeah, it's moving to Disney, but it seems to be retaining the kind of the attitude of the original two, sort of the first two films. Um, and it's kind of also acknowledging the fact that it's now Disney as well, which I always think is a little bit of self humiliation
Yeah.
and parody is a good thing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those Marvel films that I will go to the cinema for. You and I have already talked about this. I've dropped off Marvel quite a bit in recent years, and is it fatigue? Probably, but I'm okay with that, and I cherry pick what I want and what I want to watch. The last film I went to see in the cinema, as you know, was Guardians 3, which broke my heart. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and again, it's the kind of attitude and the kind of um, sense of humor that Lucy enjoys as well. So I know that she'll be coming with me as well. So it's an easy sell. It's a really easy sell.
The Another trailer that I saw is a bit out of left field. Um, but I mean I wrote it down, so I got to talk about it. Um, it kind of came out of nowhere. It's a for a movie, a documentary called Blue Angels. Um, the Blue Angels are a, Navy pilot, U.S. Navy pilots
Yeah.
who do like air shows and things like that. And I got, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. The Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds and stuff have a special place in my heart. Growing up, my dad he was in the Air Force,
Hmm.
and worked on radars and worked on the A-10s and stuff like that. And so my childhood was pretty much just like spent at the base and watching these air shows. And I distinctly remember getting to meet the Blue Angels one time because we were, doing so. I was in
Yeah.
places I probably shouldn't have been during an air show, and got to meet them. And it's like just always being amazed at kind of not the military industrial complex, not all that, like all that stuff aside, but just the aura and the fascination with that kind of thing, like just the stuff that they're doing. It's bread and circuses, like in a lot of ways, but it's
Yeah,
I don't know, it's just it's like this weird it's borderline nostalgic kind of thing, like, if it didn't exist and they tried to, like, propose it today, people be like, "Nah, that's a lot of money. We're not doing that. That's dumb." Like, it just feels like this
yeah,
relic of a bygone era that's like, "We're gonna take a bunch of fighter jets and we're gonna fly them and do crazy stuff, and they're gonna be about 3 inches off each other." That sounds like a good
yeah, yeah.
idea, and it's just I don't know, there's just something about it, I'm like, I'd watch it. I'm excited to watch this for
And
some reason. It's a
is
great
that a movie or a season or a TV
I
series? Sorry.
I thought it was a movie, but, now that I'm talking about it, like, it kinda sounds like it'd be a show.
No,
Let
no,
me
I think
look.
it's great. I think it's great. I think that I mean, obviously across this side of the pond, we've got the Red Arrows. They're at the RAF, sorry, the Royal Air Force Red Arrows is a big thing over here, and they come out for everything. A little bit long in the tooth these days, in that they might need to look at modernising the fighters they use, but they're so agile and nimble that quite frankly, I don't think they've got anything close to it that can replace it. But yeah, I mean, like you guys and the Blue Angels, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen a couple of times when I've been across the pond myself at one or two events, and it's stunning. It's amazing what those guys do. So anything like that, it's fantastic. I mean, it's not, you know, yeah, okay, they're military pilots, but it's sorry, they are um, Air Force pilots, but ultimately, are they Navy? Sorry, which
They're Navy. The Blue Angels are
they're
Navy.
Navy, aren't they? Yeah, they're Navy. So they're like the fleet. For us, it'll be the Fleet Air Arm. Okay, yeah, yeah. So yeah, but I mean, for me, yeah, of course they're part of the armed forces, but ultimately they're there. They their whole goal is to wow and impress and entertain, and I think that's phenomenal. They just so happen to be working for the armed forces. So no, no, great. I'd be really up for watching something like that as well.
It's a movie, and it's gonna be on Amazon Prime, at least over here. It's
Nice.
weird because they said it's a movie and it's a documentary, but they're like, "Oh, it's a season." I'm like, I think that's where it gets confusing
Yeah,
with,
yeah,
like,
I'm with you.
it's a season of the Blue Angels, but I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm gonna watch it and be like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Hell yeah." Like, airplanes, cool. But other than that, I think that's the most news that I have. I know you had some things on your side of things, though.
Yeah, first of all, I was really stoked, and it's quite interesting how many other folk are switching on to and discovering For All Mankind. And I know I've been talking about it for nearly well for 14 episodes now. But For All Mankind on Apple has been confirmed as sorry, season 5 has been confirmed for release in a year or so. But really strangely, and very much welcomed by myself, is there's a spin-off which is based on Russia or the Soviet Union's point of view. That's also been confirmed as well. So while they'll go to season 5, which I'm assuming is the next decade from where they are at the moment, so that they've already made it to Mars and they're looking to go beyond, and that will be the steps beyond Mars now. Um, they're now looking at yeah, I'm assuming from the get go, um, um, the Soviet Union's point of view prior and then subsequent to them landing on the moon, which I think is fascinating and quite a daring move. And I think that's pretty cool. Some sad news, and I hate to talk about this, but I think the world of the guy. Warwick Davis, his wife, Samantha, died over the last week or so, which is very sad because she was very much his soulmate, and encouraged him uh, to not let his dwarfism um, impede his career in any way, and was very much the driving force towards his ambition and just how well he's done in life. And she died at the very young age, ridiculously young age of 53, which is very sad. And so, obviously, I feel gutted because Warwick is a fave of mine, and my condolences to both him and his family. It's never a good thing, never a nice thing.
He's a good dude.
Um,
Always,
oh
always
yeah,
super nice.
absolutely. I
A
mean, I
nut.
mean, what a showman! What a showman!
Yeah.
And just being so accessible to fans. Whereas, we all know, we all hear the adage of you should never meet your heroes, because when you meet them in face to face, they end up being somewhat of a disappointment. The guy is a legend, and is genuinely um, interested and engaged with the people that love him, and that's a good thing. Um, on the comic book front, so I thought you'd be interested that I was talking about comics, but I'm also interested because of the subject matter. Um, Now that obviously Disney owned Fox, they're doing another crossover with Aliens. So going a few years back, Dark Horse Comics did Aliens versus Predator. Obviously, the original Aliens versus Predator, but Aliens versus Superman, Aliens versus Batman, Aliens versus anything that Dark Horse Comics also had the publishing rights for. Now that Fox is owned by Disney and obviously is akin to a Marvel, they're doing an Aliens versus Avengers comic book crossover that's coming our way, and that might get me back into reading comics regularly again, because I'm pretty stoked for that. Because going back quite a few episodes now, I know we've only 14 in, but it feels like an eternity. Going back quite a few episodes ago, my love of that kind of cross franchise mix ups and matchups and stuff was great. And when I was a kid, and so I'm all for that. And then lastly, as we all wait with bated breath to queue for our celebration tickets for Japan, I see that there's been some announcements of some merchandise that were exclusive merchandise that will be available for folk that book their tickets. And I have to say, I'm really quite impressed compared to. Don't get me wrong, I did like the London stuff, and I thought the design of the lanyard and one or two of the t-shirts and stuff that was that created the London brand for the event was pretty good. But I'm really stoked for the Tokyo stuff. In particular, I mean, the fact that an awful lot of the merch is quite rightly written in Japanese in the first place. I mean, the whole typography is beautiful,
Yep.
absolutely beautiful. Um, Not
I'm
to
getting
put
that
typeset,
fan.
you know what I mean?
I'm gonna get one of those fans. Those fans are sick.
Yeah, no, I mean it's cool. I mean, standing out for me at the moment, I went a little bit because London was my first. Um, I probably went a little bit over the top, and I wasn't. In hindsight, I wasn't particularly happy with the quality of some of the merch that I bought. It
You can
seemed
be
to
honest.
be,
The shirts are shit for everybody out there.
yeah,
The
yeah,
shirts are
yeah,
not
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
They're never
I
good.
wasn't,
Don't do
I
it.
wasn't particularly happy. I mean, some are as long as they touch my kneecaps, and some are as short as my
They make good cleaning
as my
rags
as
though.
my as my nipples. So it yeah, I wasn't that impressed, but certainly the cap. I'm going for the cap. Um, we're going for the cap when we order.
Okay.
In the Japanese Japanese variant of the cap, and obviously the lanyard. But I mean, the official T-shirt, the white T-shirt with the pipe, with the black piping, and the amazing uh, uh, Darth Vader print with Mount Fuji in the background looks absolutely mint. But I just don't trust the tees. That's the only problem I've got. The only reservation. But the whole styling and the whole branding of it, I think, is really quite classy. What did you think, mate?
Oh, dude, I love it. Like for one, like I said a second ago, I like the key art. I'm excited to see like they always kind of have like the main key art and then they'll like
Mm,
expand it into like a banner. I'm excited to see how that expands. I think it'll be really cool. Um,
mm.
I'm very excited about the fact that they've made kind of the hero logo in Japanese. Selfishly,
Yes.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, I'm straight up taking that and I'm gonna make that into a stamp, like for
Yeah,
celebration,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I have a couple different things I'm making stamps out of. I'm like, this is perfect. Like it's not just the plain celebration. It's got the Japanese kind of wording on there. I'm like, this is so freaking cool. Um,
Mm.
yeah, dude, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what else they have. Like, it's definitely going to be different this time around. Like I was already kind of mindful, at least when I went to London. Like, okay, it's not in Anaheim. I got to like be mindful of how I'm getting this crap home. Um, I still bought a skateboard deck in London, but I don't think that's going to necessarily. Maybe I don't know. I guess Madison will be there, so it'll be easier in some ways. But just being mindful of like what I'm going to waste my money on this time. I'm hoping there's more, which there always is. But
But that deck you bought was the one piece. That's exactly the piece. That was the same brand as the lanyard, which I thought was the one single piece of really good and well thought out branding,
yeah,
not just merch, branding that came out of that event. Uh, yeah, I mean, I just bought a whole of ancillary crap on top of that. But yeah, no, that deck you've got is actually a good looking deck. Certainly
well, it's
better than some of
similar.
the mainstream ones you can get now.
Well, I think it's similar to what we've talked about in the past about like our collecting. Um,
Yeah.
the first time or two you go to celebration, at least is my experience, and it sounds like it was yours. You go and it's just like it's so overwhelming. It's like, I gotta get it all. I gotta get it all. And next thing you
Hmm.
know, okay, like I've been a couple times now. Now it's like, all right, I want those unique items. Like I don't
Yeah.
have a lot of wall space anymore. I That's why I'm so excited about the fan. I'm like, ooh, I could get that fan. It look really good right there, right on my wall, right there. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't need 400 t-shirts. I already have a billion t-shirts. Like I
No,
have.
I'm not.
I I
I'm not up
I
for it.
don't. I don't need another black Star Wars t-shirt with some arbitrary anniversary on it for some arbitrary thing. It's like there's ones every year. It's like it's the 27th anniversary of something something. Like I want something that's going to be unique. There was some stuff in
Yeah,
London that I really wanted, but I didn't get. I did get those nesting dolls. I thought those were really
yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's the stuff that I think is really exciting. Like I am excited for the key art and that fan, but I'm also excited for more of the like what how can I mix it? How can I mix and say like, okay, what's something that's maybe traditionally Japanese? Also with Star Wars, like I hope there's some like I know there's gonna be chopsticks, obviously, but like are there gonna be like small bowls? Are there gonna be things that you can
yeah,
use and integrate
yeah,
into your home or your whatever that
yeah,
kinda mix it, but it's not, like, in your face. It's like, I don't need I'm not gonna buy a kimono or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't know, just, like, I want something that's gonna be more integrated into my home life now. Similar to our what we're saying about collecting. It's like, it needs to have a purpose because
yeah, yeah,
I've got
yeah.
a billion shirts and things like that.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, you already know that. I mean, I'm not allowed. I mean, this room that I'm recording at the moment, I'm not allowed to get any of this junk outside this room. However, I do have one or two more tasteful pieces of that I've collected over the years in the house because they're not seen as cheap Star Wars shit. It's seen
Yeah.
as actually it's quite tasteful. It's done really well. It's quite subtle. That
Yep.
fits actually with the ambiance of of where we live. The rest of the tat that I buy, yeah, it's got to stay with me in here, unfortunately. Um, tell you what, though, and I know we haven't started the road to Japan, if you like, segment of this podcast, which we're planning to do going forward. But I tell you what, I am really looking forward to looking at the merch. Made me think of one thing, and it made me think I'm also looking forward to doing some shopping out there because I really hope it's a lot more different. Sorry, when I mean shopping, I mean actually in the event,
Mhm.
in the in the marketplace. I don't know what
Mhm.
you call it, but where all the stalls
The
are,
floor, like
where all
the floor out
the main,
there.
yeah, the main floor. because I'm really hoping it's not the usual Western merchandise
Yeah.
stuff that blew me away, if I'm perfectly honest with you, during Celebration, but is also accessible in any other con. Um,
What
I mean,
I
I go to a few every now and again with the Scruffy Boys, and it's like almost the floor these days is becoming a little bit samey, and I'm
oh
really
yeah.
looking forward to an awful lot of the, should we say, um, Japanese license or certainly Eastern licensed stuff that is ridiculously expensive to import into the UK if
Yeah.
you were to buy it online today. And I'm looking forward to an awful lot of that stuff. Like the SH Figure Art stuff is infinitely better than Hasbro, in my personal opinion.
Oh,
The
I'm gonna
the
need a
the
suitcase for just Bandai stuff alone. Like, it's gonna
I was about to
be
say the Bandai modeled kits are going to be infinitely better, and of course it's you're buying from the source, so they should be certainly not have the import duty that you unfortunately have to experience in the US at the moment. Um, is it the Yamakochi, Kamayochi, the figurines, the statues that are out there? Kobe, I'll get the name in a second, but the point being is that I'm looking forward to that and more, and um, being a very, very, very different culture. Some obscure stuff as well. I mean, I've always found the samurai take on a lot of the the Star Wars characters to be fascinating. I haven't actually jumped in and bought yet because I've seen anything that quite appeals to me yet. But hopefully um, there's a lot more choice and a
mhm.
lot more vendors that perhaps don't make their way even via shipping to the West that we can choose from.
Well,
Looking
even
forward to it, mate.
to take it a step further, like, I noticed it when I went to London last time, but when there's the cons in Orlando and Anaheim and Chicago, there's always like, the resellers. There's, like, all the big names, and there's
Yeah,
kinda, like, the art area, then there's, like, the people who have, like, the T-shirt walls and just, like, the piles of crap. Like, there's good stuff in there, but it's all con prices and whatever. In the US, it's always the same ones. They're just moving their crap between different cons. But then you went to go to London, it's like, I'm sure for you, it's the same ones you see all the time. But it was kind of
yeah,
new and different for us. And I'm to take what you're saying a step further, I think it's going to be even better for both of us going to Japan because it's like, oh, it's not going to be those same resellers that you and I are both used to. It's gonna be something totally different, and it's a totally different market and a totally different pile of crap that maybe
yeah,
we don't get that pile of crap at home, but we can get it there, and so that's I don't think I've been this excited for a celebration as a whole. Like, I'm excited for the panels, I'm excited for, like, the art show, like, that's become a new big thing for me,
yeah,
or like the art area, but now it's like, I'm actually excited for the resellers and just all of the other, like, crap that after you've been a couple times, you're just like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna go pay 10 grand for a Jabba sail barge, like, I'm not that desperate," like, but over there, it's like, I'm gonna go look at those
no,
booths because it's
no, no,
all
no,
new
no,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. I've just the name I was looking for was Kotobukiya.
Yep.
Do you know those guys?
Oh, I do.
And
Yeah,
they
yeah,
they're
I'm familiar.
yeah, they're exquisite. But you're talking for what you can buy out there for what let's say 50, $60. You can quadruple that over here. And so for me, it's like buying a hot toy. It's just completely unrealistic. And the stuff they do is different, and um, the whole physicality of the kind of statues that they build or artwork they build, I think is pretty sick. So yeah,
You should look
I'm really looking forward to it.
you should look at the Tamashii Nations movie realization figures. That's where they take, like, Darth Maul. They turn him into a samurai, and he's got like the big flaming swords, and they're all like wearing like
Yeah,
samurai armor and stuff like that.
that was what I was talking about. That I didn't know the brand, but that's what I was talking about in terms of the samurai crossover stuff, which I
Yeah,
haven't jumped into yet. But yeah, I'm really stoked and looking and all that kind of stuff. I'm just really looking forward to it. And then and there is it, we spoke about it last week. Spoke about it last week with Eric. I am literally flying in and out, and I'm done. Am I going to experience Japan or even Tokyo? No, unfortunately, I'm not, because I'm only there for celebration. But I'm really looking forward to the Japanese take on celebration,
yeah.
um, which hopefully will give me um, uh, uh, a little bit of the skew and the beauty of that country. Um, I'm. It feels so real now, and I'm really hyped for it. I really am.
I
Anywho,
hope they bring back the beer vending machines. I that was that was
yeah, that
killer.
was smart, right? That was
That was
smart.
awesome.
Oh God, that was smart for us as well. I mean, that was. I mean, talk about a rendezvous point. Where are we going to meet? Well, where do you think we're going to meet? I mean,
It
all roads in the end led to the beer pumps.
it went unspoken. You just said you don't even have to ask. It's just like I'm just gonna go. Like I know that's where people are. And then you see the
Yeah,
hat, you see the Star Wars spelt out hats, and you're like,
yeah.
my people, there they
My
are,
people are here. My people are here.
by the beer vending machine.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I do hope that I do hope we all get what we want. Um, I'm interested to find out later on about the panels and stuff and how that's all going to work. But as I found out last year, I got into a couple of the, should we say, side panels that weren't exciting for an awful lot of people, and I had a blast.
Mhm.
My very very first panel that I went to was with was with Catherine, and we got her pretty much front and center into the Andor panel with the team, talking about how the whole thing was made, and it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And every subsequent panel, that was probably the biggest panel I got into, and then every subsequent panel was shall we say, a lesser priority for most people, but I still had a blast. So yeah, no, I'm oh, it's something to look forward to, which is fantastic, absolutely
I d-
fantastic.
I have to talk about my one of my favorites just because of what you said. It's like one of my favorite ones I went to was a small one with our buddy Andy Campbell, one of the Andys. Um,
Oh, I love it. No,
uh,
I love Andy. What a
oh
dude! I mean, the nicest guy,
yeah,
the nicest
fantastic.
guy.
We both went to the Micro Galaxy Squadrons panel for the little ships and stuff. And it was
Yeah,
so funny because it was in like one of the overflow rooms, but there wasn't a lot of people there. And I don't know if you've ever been to an event where like they bring 200% of the hype and they are like they're super pumped and it's like but it doesn't match like what they're
yeah.
trying to hype up. But there's people in the crowd who are also hyped, but it's not a lot of people. And so they're doing like these like teased reveals of like what's the silhouette gonna be. And then they show it's like, oh, it's an ACT, and people there's like 10 people in the crowd going, yeah, let's go. And Andy and I were like, what is happening? And they're
Yeah,
pulling out like prototypes from underneath the desk, and people are like losing their minds. And like there's people in there who know the people on the panel like on first name basis, and like it was a whole vibe. I'm like, I feel like I'm in a small town and everybody's like really hyped on these like certain brand of toys. But it was a really good time. We had a blast in there. We felt like we were out of our element because we're like, oh cool, those are neat. And then we get in there and it's like it's us and a bunch of other people who are very, very into these toys. But we're just in there vibing, having a good time. And it was a lot of fun and no regrets. And I highly recommend anybody if you have a gap, go do a panel like that. They're a lot of fun. And you
yeah,
can walk
yeah,
away with free
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
too.
Well, sorry, go on the Andor subject as well, because I spent a lot of time with Catherine, which which helped me an awful lot because I had no idea what was going on. But 2 or 3 days, probably the Sunday, we went to see Jamie Benning, who leads the Filmumentaries podcast. Had no idea about him. Had no idea about his podcast, and it was literally because it was behind the scenes, another Andor behind the scenes panel, and it was quite a small room. I mean, because Jamie is quite a small podcaster, but he managed to get some amazing lineup of ILM folk that on his panel, and I had the time of my life because it was smaller, it was a lot more intimate, and it felt like I could appreciate what they were saying because they were saying it to me.
Mhm.
Really cool. Another one was there was another ILM behind the scenes. There's a theme here, right? There's another ILM talk with Doug Chang. Now, Doug Chang's always been a hero of mine. I mean, the guy's a frigging legend, and brought in a creative style to the prequels that was nothing like the OT, but made sense, and it still felt Star Wars. And so I love him. I love his philosophy. I love his nature. I love his outlook and his very humble and grateful demeanor as to where he is today. And I just sat there and watched it. And I, when the I can't believe we're going down this, but I'm loving it. When the panel was over, I just sat there and just waited. It was almost like I was waiting for an end credit scene because I
Mhm.
loved it. I loved the whole thing so much, and because I was late, it was me. It was Craig was with me.
Mhm.
Craig was with me as well. And because we were somewhat late leaving the room, we ended up leaving the room and going into the hallway just as Doug Chang was being corralled by his protection or by his people onto the next thing. And I pretty much I was, a foot, 2 foot away from an absolute legend. Didn't say anything, of course, because I wouldn't know what to say to the guy. But I thought, this is amazing. I could never do anything like this anywhere else in the world at this moment in time. It's superb. But yeah, I loved it. I loved it. And I'm sorry. Back on track, folks. Back on track. Really looking forward to Japan. Honestly, it really feels real now, and I'm really looking forward to it. And um, yeah, can't wait. It's going to be
Let the count
fun.
let the countdown begin. Like,
Yeah,
yeehaw!
officially. As far as Just Shilling, a podcast for positive people with
A
low
podcast
sodium
for
content.
podcast for people with a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah, we are starting our countdown to Japan right now. I should have got a
We're within a
soundbite for that,
year.
but there you go.
That's as close as the number is gonna get for right now. We're within a year.
Exactly. All good. Right. So, gosh, that's a lot more than I thought. Bearing in mind it's been a busy week. So I'm going to let you know what I've been watching, what I have watched, what I'm still watching, and what I've listened to, because it's a relatively short list. So, yeah, unlike last week where I had a plethora or a shopping list as long as your arm about everything that I'd watched, it was been a very, very quiet week this week for obvious reasons. Still watching Constellation, Scrubs, Battlestar Galactica, yada yada yada. But the only show that I've seen that we're both watching, apart from obviously Bad Batch, which we'll talk about in a second, was Shogun, and most importantly, the finale of Shogun. So, with that in mind, I'm going to put a pin in that because I do want to talk to you about Shogun and how I feel about that show and how I think it's worthy of you and I and potentially a guest one day to actually talk about the series as a whole. But so I'll put a pin in it at the moment and pass back to you. What have you been watching? What have you watched? what are you listening to? What have you listened to? Or just the same thing twice. You know what I mean? Over to you, mate.
So so I too watched the finale of Shogun. Well, but I'll save that. Um, so funny enough, after last week's our special guest episode with Eric, Madison was interested in watching Requiem for a Dream, which she'd never seen.
Oh,
I gave her plenty of warning.
yeah,
Lots of, are you sure? Are you sure about that?
yeah,
And
yeah,
she was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then about, 2/3 of the way through the movie, she's like, what? What are we doing? What are we doing here? I'm
yeah.
like, I warned you about this. So we will collectively probably not be watching that again. We did finish it, and she's like, yeah, that's not for me. But
Yeah.
respect it. She's like, the soundtrack is good though. Um, another. I've also been watching the X-Men animated series. I'm
Mhm.
switching my recommendation. Oh, so I remember way back in the beginning, like, I don't know who this is for. Da, 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 da. I am even further in the camp of this isn't for kids. Not, nope. That's a big, strong no in that
Yeah.
regard. But I do say, like, this is good. This is a good show. As much as the old 92 series was like all over the place at times and just kind of like whatever, like hard to follow. This is it's really good. And I hate to say it, but I'm like that kind of person. Like I used to be like, give it all to me at once. I want to watch it all at once and be done with it. I like the the weekly nature to it. Like some of them are just whatever, but it's also got this underlying narrative and it's low risk. But there's a lot going on in it. It's heavy at times. It does not pull its punches.
Yeah.
Uh, it's surprisingly good. Um, all bundled up into a nice little. It's not like a Star Wars live action where it's like you get one big arc for a season. It's like no, there is stuff happening. It's also Marvel, so there it could all get undone with a snap of a finger or whatever. But it feels heavy and weighty, and it's got meaning, and it's not
Yeah.
just moral of the week stuff. So I'm really really enjoying that. Uh,
The great thing about Marvel is it's a lot it has a lot more liberty than
mhm.
Star Wars. You know, it's I mean, how many times has a particular superhero's origin story been rewritten, and nobody bats an eyelid? It's a little bit like the conversation we had a while ago about James Bond being, recast and redone and history changing and to serve the purpose of the narrative. And while I perhaps wouldn't want that for my Star Wars, I do envy um, those universes that can do that because they're not bound by any expectations or preconception bullshit that other media like Star Wars has, or franchises like Star Wars has.
it's
That's
like
cool. That's really cool. I've heard nothing but great things about it. I have not got around to it yet, which I am kind of gutted about. But there's so much to do,
yeah.
Sean. There's so much to watch. I mean, I haven't finished Blue Eye Samurai. I haven't finished.
Here's
Oh
my
crikey!
prediction.
The sorry.
Here's my prediction with it though. I'm only staying on top of it because I have a feeling it's here's drawing yarn on the cork board again. It's like I think this
Yeah.
is gonna be tied into like Wolverine and Deadpool and the Marvel universe.
Ooh.
I think it's all gonna be like there's no signs of this or anything. There's no like it's just like it's coming out at a weird time. They're reintroducing X-Men, they're doing this stuff. I'm like, I think it's gonna be all connected. I want to be part of it. I don't want to be. I'm tired of being spoiled on the internet. Uh, like I want to be. I want to feel. I want to feel something. So that's why I'm
Yeah, but dude,
staying with it.
how how good would that be? How good that
Yeah,
would that be?
be awesome. Be like it's got me excited about Marvel again. Like, and I've never been a huge X Men person. Like I've always enjoyed. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the games and whatever. But like I'm like, ooh, I actually kind of like. It's kind of what Winter Soldier and stuff did for me
Yeah.
with MCU. I'm like, "Ooh, I kinda like this. This is cool." And like, I'm not gonna go read 80 years of comics, but I'm gonna maybe get on
Yeah.
fandom or look at like the Wikipedia of X-Men, and dive a little deeper. But no, I'm enjoying it.
But that would be very, very cool because I mean we were speculating a couple of weeks back about how the um what will be the impact of Bad Batch, you know, in terms of what happens afterwards, what we've already seen in this in both the OT, the sequel trilogy, and the TV series, but you know what is still to be planned, you know what is still to come, and maybe we'll talk about it later on. Maybe my expectations were a little bit too high,
Mm.
but yeah, no, I love the idea of this. Again, it goes back to the days of multimedia, you know, Shadows of the Empire type of thinking, where you've got video games, you've got literature, you've got comics, you've got live action. Well, we never had live action, but the point being is that anything that can create this immersive multimedia experience, I think is fantastic. Matrix, oh, the Matrix went from animation to went from live action to animation to video game, and the video game straddled two of the movies and created some extra extra content and some meat and added some meat to the bone. I love that stuff. Love it. Cool. I need to watch it. It's on the list without a doubt.
So something else we watched. This will be a short one. Um, we watched the movie Argyle over the weekend. Um, Seen a billion advertisements for it on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Uh, I I don't do you ever watch a movie and you're like, what? Like you just want to understand the backstory
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like how did this become. I'm not gonna spoil any of it in case you I mean I don't recommend it. Don't. Just don't. Uh it's not what it says it is. It's it's just my theory is that it's like, okay, is this somebody's first experiment with like, let's save money on writers, pay it all towards big name actors, and just let AI write a script, uh, like write a story, and just
Yeah.
see what happens. Um, it's just weird, and like I'm sure somebody out there could like it had beats that were familiar and like kind of fun, but then it's just like if somebody took the Kingsman, like the original Kingsman movie,
Yeah.
um, which is all over the place and kind of weird and whatever, but like it's in a good way. But like remove the violence.
The first one, you
Um,
mean?
yeah, the very first one.
Oh, the
Like
first
the
one's a great film. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but take that, but like keep the weird irony, but remove the violence and then just like any like and try to like do all these like weird story twists. Like that's kind of what it became. Like I don't even know what's real, like what's real anymore. Like it's a whole thing, but I don't
I
recommend
knew
it.
I'd heard. I knew I'd heard of it because my boy Henry's in it. Um, but looking at the cast, Sam Rockwell, banger. Rich D. Grant, banger. Bryce Dallas Howard, banger.
Oh, it's
Bryan
all big
Cranston,
names.
banger. John Cena, my God. I mean, it's huge.
Dua Lipa's in it. I mean, why do you think
Yeah,
I
yeah,
picked it?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
it's
But
good. It's
I
one of those
might
ones where
have.
like what was going on? Yeah, watch it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it if you have
I
time.
know, I know what you're saying, but there's a list of folk here that I adore and Lucy lusts after. So I may just have to watch it just for shits and giggles, and I'll get back to you. But yeah, no, it's that's a shame. That's a real shame.
Like
Um,
it has legs, but I'll let you watch it and then we can chat about it.
cool beans.
The only other thing I watched was I churned and burned through Fallout season 1. Um
Yes, and
and so I enjoyed it to start. I I get why they released it all at one time. That's
oh,
as I was watching it and like the episodes would end, I'd be like, yeah, I would not enjoy this if it was week to week. Uh, like, cause
Oh,
it kind of, I feel like it needs to be consumed like as a whole. Like I enjoyed it. I'm not knocking it by any means. Um, there were times where I'm like, I feel like I should be more excited than I am.
okay.
Um, but I like it's like 9 out of 10. Like it's very good, but I'm just like looking for like I had like a weird feeling the whole time. Like it's it needs to be consumed all at once. Like a week to week
Yeah,
would
yeah,
just not work because the cutoffs for the episodes were just kind of like very stereotypical like cliffhangery at times. Um
well, it's also kind of experimental anyway, and it either
mm,
works or it doesn't work. So, getting if you get someone, and I was trying to explain this to someone the other day, and they said, well, maybe because it is a bit of a gamble.
yeah.
I mean, let's face it, gaming franchises always are. Ironically, it was somebody in the gaming industry that I was talking to about it, and it may well be a case of let's just test the water and get it out there.
Mhm.
Um, because the worst thing, I mean, the lesser of two evils is for everyone to watch all of the seasons.
Mhm.
Sorry, all the seasons, all the episodes, than folk dropping off after episode one or two. That is from a consumption point of view the worst thing that could ever happen to a streaming service. So yeah, the more I talk to people about it as to why they did it that way, and now listening to you, what you're saying, um, cool, fine. I mean, maybe because I was so vested in the whole franchise anyway, that probably was an unfair bias towards, or gave me bias towards my, or certainly impacted my reaction to what I saw on the screen. But no, that's every opinion is a good opinion. It's great. That's absolutely fine.
I think they learned from the mistakes of what like Halo and some of the others have failed
Yeah,
from. And I'm a fan of the franchise. Like I'm familiar with how on the nose and just like cheese dick it can be at times. Of just like
yeah,
but that first episode, if that was a week to week, that first episode would have the internet presence would have drugged that show and it would not it would have it would have been a failure out of the gate because I think people
yeah,
you know the world that we live in now, like people would have taken that and taken it all the wrong way. And so I think they learned from that mistake and they knew what they had. They're like, you've because you kind of have to get through those first two. Like even if
yeah,
you're familiar with the show, you're like, all right,
yeah.
we're in the camp. Like we're in it.
But we
Like
still,
let's
but we again, we saw that. I mean, we saw that in the franchise that we mutually love. We saw that in Star Wars, where
yeah.
you saw the first three episodes of Bad Batch, the first three episodes of Andor, um, published on the same day
Mhm.
to get over that hurdle of getting folks' interest in the first place, or getting them engaged in the first place. So I get where you're coming from, and I perhaps I was oblivious to it because of my, as I said, my vested interest in the franchise. But no, it's all good. It's all good. I just hope they keep it going because I think it's got some decent legs, and I also think it's got longevity as well.
Yeah.
Unlike other franchises that kind of have a beginning, a middle, and an end, this can kind of carry on for as long as you need it to, because quite frankly, there are many, many vaults. There are many, many
Yeah.
folks. There are many, many countries that the nuclear war impacted. It's I hope there's something from this.
And to be
But
clear,
hey, I'm glad you
I
finished it.
think they learned and I think they did it the right way.
Yeah,
I think releasing it all at once was the way to go about it to make sure it's successful and to make sure that
yeah,
people are hyped. I think it was an experiment and I think they did the right thing and that season 2 will come through. What's weird is I know I'm going to be the only person in this camp is like I think this did better as a bulk release initially. I wouldn't have been excited week to week, but I'm the exact opposite with Halo. It's like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know people hate that series, but it's like, I I think they cut the episodes well, and I'm excited to see what happens next week. Like, yeah,
But
it's
this
not
is
the same as ever. It's like, but they're different and they're unique in their own ways, and they're both, in my opinion, good. Um, and
but good
I
God,
want more
Sean,
both.
what a boring planet we'd be living on if everyone had the same opinion
Oh,
and
for sure.
everyone had the same likes. I mean, at the end of the day, what works for you doesn't work for others, doesn't work for me, doesn't work for that guy, doesn't work for. It's like, who cares? It's to coin a friend. Sorry, to coin a phrase from somebody that we know. Good job liking what you like. You know,
Ace
it's
job, liking what you like. I'm
ace
finally
job.
get.
Sorry, ace job.
I get it wrong every time, and he always corrects me, and I'm finally gonna remember. It's like ace job, liking what you
Okay,
like.
okay, all cool.
Other
Right,
than
mate.
that,
We're on the hour. Should we delve into to our love of Star Wars and talk about the latest episode of Bad Batch? Because I think we're probably in a good place, probably better than ever, in that we've only got one episode left as the finale to speculate about what's going to happen next.
I think
So
I'm on board with that.
okay, so we had Flash Strike as our penultimate episode. Um, High level, top line. What did you think?
My top line is it wasn't even 20 minutes. It wasn't.
It's short, wasn't it?
It was
Really short.
crazy, crazy short. Cause I was like, that wasn't 20 minutes. I went and started from the very beginning of the content to right before the credits. And it was sub 20. I'm like, wow, that
Yeah,
genuinely surprising. But in terms of content, um, it's not what I thought it's not what I thought it was gonna be. I'm in it's hard to talk about in a way that's not like predictions of what next week is going to be because that's how it felt. It's like it is set up. It's all set up. Um I thought it did a really there's a weird amount of focus on Echo. Like out of nowhere, like no Echo, no Echo, and Echo. Now it's like Echo. Echo gets a hand. Echo's how's Echo going to get
yeah,
off the ship? How's Echo here? Like Echo's dealing with Emery. It's like we don't get Echo for like a season and a half of like
yeah,
genuine Echo content, and now it's a lot of Echo. Uh, Another small things of like, okay, next week is my gut is it's going to be a long episode, not two, but it's maybe like maybe they'll do like a Bluey special and there'll be like a 45-minute Bad Batch. Because if it's another 20-minute one, it's like I don't know what they're gonna do. It was interesting to see the Zillow boy, the Zillow beast hanging out there. I'm like, here I thought we were gonna get out of this series without any more Zillow beast, but it's like, it's like poetry, it rhymes.
yeah,
We're gonna somehow end with the Zillow beast. But
yeah.
that's kind of my takeaway. It's like it's hard to have an opinion until we see how it ends because all of this feels like setup for the the true ending
Yeah.
to something. And I there's a couple different ways I could go, but I'm curious to hear your high levels as well.
High level. I like what I saw. Like you, I was a bit surprised it was so short. Bearing in mind, for the last 4 weeks, I've been saying, "Oh, they got 4 episodes. They've only got 4 episodes left to wrap up a story. They've got 3 episodes left to wrap up a story. They've got 2 episodes left to wrap up a story." And now we've only got the finale. So I do hope it's going to be tough to deliver an awful lot of storytelling in one episode. What in the finale? Sorry, what I saw was great. I mean, I'll go through my notes um, as to what I was observing in the moment at the time. But yeah, no, it was good. I guess the one takeaway that I had was that I perhaps expected a lead up to a grander finale with lots and lots of characters. The title of the next of the finale is "The Cavalry Arrives" or "Here Comes the Cavalry" or some variation of that, and which got us all speculating about, you know, who's going to turn up, who's turning up to save the day. Will it be all of the rescued clones that Rex and Echo have been in the background liberating over the last couple of years or so? Is it going to be? Are we going to see Asajj again? Are we going to see Fee coming in as well? Was it going to be that kind of dare I say, Rise of Skywalker moment where everyone from every corner of the galaxy will fly in and save these amazing heroes of ours? And bearing in mind we are at the finale next week, I don't think it's going to happen now. And I'll give you a little bit about what I think is going to happen when we get to the end of this part. But it was fine. It was absolutely fine. And I really want, we are a positive podcast, and I want us to remain positive about the stuff that we did take away from it. But yeah, I'm not in any way disappointed. I think what I can say is my expectations were perhaps a little bit different to where we are at the penultimate episode.
I'm bewildered. I'm bewildered, kind of. It's like,
okay.
Like, I'm not disappointed. I still have hope that something's going to happen. It's like, I think I'm in the same boat of like, maybe my expectations were too high. And it's like that we're going to get like the rug, like the carpet reveal by the end. And it's like I just, now I'm kind of in the boat of like, I just want something that wraps it up nice. Like,
yeah, I don't think we can get that.
It's the last of the series. That's what's crazy to me. It's like,
yeah,
it's the last of the series. Like, I'm more in like anxious anticipation of like, how are they going to do this? Like,
yeah. But we still have plenty of time. So if you think about the timeline, you got Clone Wars that wrapped up. We then had Bad Batch, and then we then had Rebels. But at the end of we then revisited Clone Wars, which led into Bad Batch season 1, 2, and 3. We then have a gap, which you could assume is more or less the Obi-Wan, where Obi-Wan Kenobi is set. There's nothing. We'll go into speculation later on, but I don't think this is going to be the nicely packaged with a neat bow on top ending that perhaps a lot of people, including yourself, were looking for. I just can't see it. There's too much momentum. There's too much momentum that has been generated from the very start of this series, particularly at the beginning of season 3. There's so much weight there, unless, of course, again we're stepping ahead of ourselves a little bit. Unless, of course, it's not the genesis of some of the things we've been thinking about over the last couple of weeks, such as the Dark Trooper program, and of course, the resurrection of Palpatine. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it is something else that leads into what we know later in Mandalorian and indeed in the sequel trilogy. But anyway, I was going to share with you.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
I was going to go through my notes like I do every week, and they're typically 2 or 3 word, or 4 word, or 5 word bullet points. So Flash Strike. My first comment was a personal opinion rather than a comment on what I was seeing on the screen. I've never liked the V-Wing. I've never liked the V-Wing design.
I don't like it.
Of all the things that came, and I was just complimenting earlier on about Doug Chiang and the way that he created this amazing almost Art Deco, in certainly in the early films anyway, Art Deco environment, but to make it still feel within the Star Wars universe was classic. The V-wing concept of it almost being a mashup between, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all up for kit bashing, we know that, but the V-wing being a almost like a kit bash between a TIE fighter and an A-wing never really. Adam Savage said this once, and he said you can always tell good design by its silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
If the silhouette is meaningful, and seems natural, and the silhouette of the V-wing just never felt particularly right with me. So that was the first comment I made, and I spent, as usual, way too much time on it. Crosshair's loyalty to Omega, and the fact that he was talking about to his brothers that she didn't give up on him, so therefore he won't give up on her. That was the first time he properly vocalized perhaps his feelings towards her, which I thought was pretty awesome. Certainly in that, as deep as that. I liked Echo's replacement hand. I love the fact that he took the protocol droid's hand and attached it to himself. I thought it was very Hot Toys. I don't know if you remember when the Hot Toy came out for Echo, but he had this extendable attachment for his hand, which was a claw, as opposed to the droid spike, or the spike he normally has, which suggests that appendage he's got is a bit like a Swiss Army knife, and you can fit many different things into it. So I thought that was quite cool, because again, it reminded me of the Hot Toy, which at the time we all speculated, oh, is that coming up in the series? And it never did. So that's a little bit of justification for that. Next one I thought is a question was, is Crosshair completely free of his brainwashing? But again, that's a question I could have asked 3 or 4 episodes ago, but is yet another facet that needs to be tied up in the finale. So you've got Rampart talking about,
foreshadowing a bit, yeah,
almost foreshadowing that he's not completely over his conditioning yet. I just wrote down more monsters in the jungle, and that was before I knew anything about that was before the Zillo Beast arrived, but there was more monsters in the jungle. I'm still one of the heart tugging moments was when one of the kids said, "I'm so hungry," and the reaction from that evil doctor, not Emery, but the one who's turning into a bit of a nasty bastard, in the vault. Her reaction, which was, "It'll pass." It's like, oh man, if a young child tells you that they're hungry, that really pulled on my heartstrings and made me want to throw a few chairs. Zillo Beast is back. We don't know in what capacity at the moment, or indeed what they're doing. Are they torturing it? Are they trying to antagonize it? What are they doing? Are they trying to? Because I think it was the scales or the carapace of the beast that was particularly robust. Are they trying to farm the scales for something else? I don't know. But the fact that the Zillo Beast is there is good, and I think will play a massive part in the season finale. Emery clearly is regretting her life decisions, especially around her career. I mean, she almost rather humbly said to Echo, "I was just doing my job," but she knew in what she was saying that it was kind of pathetic.
Echo didn't pull his punches on that at all. He was just like,
no,
yeah, I
and
like
to
it.
be honest with you, from Emery's point of view, yeah, he was probably stating the obvious. She knew it already. I genuinely think she knows it already, which is the reason why she's trying to lend a hand now. And then lastly, I wrote down as it finished because it was so quick. Again, I expected a lead up to a grander finale with lots of characters involved, and which leads on to what we're going to talk about now. What do you think will happen? Because I wrote that down in my thoughts as well. So that was my notes. So what do you think is going to happen? I think
To
I
kind of,
have a view. I would not be surprised if you have the same view as me.
I think there's like it's kind of picking up where what you were saying a minute ago of like I'm always on team like we'll see, just wait and see, just wait and see, like
Yeah,
of what they have. Like not that they always have a plan, but like they're not just spraying and praying with these shows. It's like these are professionals, like they know kind of what they're
yeah,
doing
of
at
course.
times. And I think maybe there was an element of like I'm hoping that the curtain would be raised and we start seeing these connections. And I think it's hard to not frustrated, but like be disappointed when you get this close to the end. And it's like at some point in time, you want a show to mean something and not
Yeah,
just be prepping for a new show. Like I always want more content, but like I don't want Clone Outcasts season 1 where now we have more clones and Emery is the new tech and it's just the same vibe just 3 days later
yeah,
doing
yeah,
something
yeah,
different under a new name. It's like at some
yeah,
point in time something's got to mean something and like it can just be what it is.
yeah,
And I think there's like that struggle right now between me now. It's like, okay, next week could be a 45-minute episode, and there could be some meat on that bone. There's a
mhm,
lot to cover. We got to cover the Zillow Beast. We got to cover Rampart. We got to cover the twitchy hand, uh, Crosshair. There's got to be some kind of conclusion and wrap up. Like you want you want something conclusive kind of for the clones in some way to escape without it being like that was it's the end of the show. And so
yeah,
even if it is leading to a new animated series, like it needs to have a wrap up. And I think that's where I struggle with it of like what are they going to do? It's like yeah, so they're going to do the simultaneous my prediction is they're going to do the simultaneous breakout. Omega's going to be she's going to help get the kids out on her own because that's her showing determination in her capabilities while the Bad Batch is wrecking stuff. Rampart's going to snitch. The Zillow Beast is going to wreck things. I do believe that in some capacity, if Emery doesn't die, it's like, oh, she's going to be the new tech. Like at some point,
yeah,
like whatever the future thing is, like Emery is new tech. Um,
yeah,
I don't know how they're going to. I think as far as I can guess, like that's going to be the thing. Um, what I'm most interested in, like, what are the last 10 minutes going to be? Is it going to be
yeah,
the hidden? Like, I want the hidden path stuff so bad. I want it to all tie together. Like, if they just gave if they gave us that in the last 5 minutes of like, hey, here's Quinlan Voss or Cal Kestis, and we know where to go. Like, I'll be like, they did it.
mm,
They made a decision and it concluded, and like there is a place for these people to go, and something meaningful for them to do, and a reason for them to not be around, and like I could sit and I'd be okay with that.
mm,
Not this like I think Rex was on Indoor if we retroactively do it and like everybody else is just who knows. I just want something to mean. I want it to mean something. Like cuz I'm really
mm.
invested in this show. I'm really invested in these series and they've got really strong characters.
Yeah.
I just want to know how they tied up. That's where I'm at.
I don't. I'm pretty much 100% and agree with you. I think that I think there's so much going on with Omega and Crosshair
Mhm.
that we will see them in the capacity again as leading characters of some sort. I think we'll see Wrecker and Hunter again. albeit as ancillary characters as they pretty much have been this whole season anyway. And I'm okay with that because, I don't think you need to go that deep with them because they're a little bit like, it doesn't get any more complicated. And they're a good bedrock for any to launch the main protagonist. I think she's going to break out the Zilla Beast. I think that's her answer, as as we all can see it coming. She's found something big, and she's going to need their help.
And that thing's
So
gonna be
breaking
pissed. They have been
it
torturing
out,
that thing for a long time.
it's gonna change everything. Like I said, originally I was kind of expecting. I was thinking to myself, how on earth are four folk, the three boys, sorry, plus Echo, four boys and Omega going to rescue all of the tortured souls in Mount Tantus, and the point being is that they couldn't. So I was expecting for the cavalry to arrive, so that they can truly liberate to truly liberate Wayland. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they will rescue the folk and demolish Tantis by setting the Zilla Beast free. So the cavalry will come from within. If that makes sense, it'll come within from within the confines of the mountain. And actually, if they keep it as simple as that, with the prospect of it continuing to something different to placate someone like yourself that's looking for a little bit of conclusion on the clone stuff or on the clone saturation, I'd be okay with that. If they try and squeeze in everything in 45, let's say it is 45 minutes, they try and squeeze everything in 45 minutes, I might be a little bit more disappointed because they should have paced the latter half of the season to have accommodated that and tied up those loose end, or at least progress the story of those loose ends earlier. So I'm almost wishing for it to be quite a simple conclusion now next week, and I hope that makes sense. And I think by squeezing everything in, the last episode would be not smart writing.
It feels like bureaucracy at that point. It's like,
well, it just feels like there are we've spoken about this both on the pod and offline before. There are whole episodes dedicated to cameos, which were welcome cameos, but they didn't progress the story quite as fast as the first half of the season. Mm-hmm. And so, the progress that was made between the the bounty hunter, come on,
Fennec Shand
and the Asajj Ventress episodes. What they learned in terms of story progression probably could have happened in one episode, for example.
Well, and at the end, it doesn't mean anything.
I enjoyed them. I enjoyed those episodes for what they were. Having those episodes to sacrifice really good to condense everything into the finale, I perhaps would think that would be a bad idea. And so therefore I'm hoping for almost like a simple conclusion to this, with the promise of other things, which will placate folk that want to see Rex, that want to see Cody, especially Hawes, of course. Want to see Cody. want to see the Bad Batch again in some form or another. Want to see, especially Omega. I mean, good God, there's got to be some sort of reunion with or meeting with her brother at some point in this journey. But also really want to tap into some of the other stuff that lead into Rebels, like the hidden path, like the formation of the underground movement, like the integration of, or sorry, the engagement with politicians that may well or may not be able to influence the Senate. Those kind of stuff in animation would be totally cool. And while the clones are still there and their story continues, it somewhat becomes more ancillary to the main plot of the animation. And I'd be totally cool with that. Totally cool with that.
So I have a question for you that I hate that I'm even asking, but I think with some of the foreshadowing and stuff that we had from uh, Rampart, it begs the question: are you in the camp that thinks that Crosshair is going to make it out of this alive? Because I've almost flipped back to the other side of like I think I am not confident. I'm in the camp. I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to make a sacrifice, and that is going to be the proving that foreshadowing wrong. To be like, yes, I have committed, and I am no longer part of the Empire, and therefore I am willing to make this selfless act. He's like, oh, you only care about yourself. I will prove to you that I am not selfless by sacrificing
I
myself to
hope not.
save everybody
I
else.
hope I hope not, but it would be epic because he's been so prolific and his story, and it would be epic.
It better
And
be.
it
It
actually
needs to be.
actually, mate, what I was just saying about Hunter and Wrecker being somewhat, I wouldn't say in the background, but ancillary to the storyline. It actually would make your life easier as well. In that, I wouldn't say your life easier. Sorry, what I'm trying to say, it would also make for what happens next less complicated and less storylines to follow through with. So, for example, if his conditioning starts reverting back to where it was, or starts taking him back to where he was, and therefore he recognizes that, and therefore makes a selfless act, like takes his own life, or I don't know, does one almighty death charge
He
into
stays behind to push the button that blows up the place
exactly, yeah, yeah,
because he
yeah,
can't do
yeah,
it remotely, kind of
because he
thing.
knows, but he also knows that he can't escape the
Yeah,
conditioning that he has, or he's been through. Then yeah, that will wrap that story up, and it's a little bit like Tech, who pretty much dominated season two, or was very prolific in season two. Anyway, that would kind of end that person's story, leaving the
I
two
think it'll end.
boys to kind of join the,
I think
leaving the
I think
two
it'll end a
boys
lot of
somewhat.
it.
I agree with you, and that's what I'm trying to say. It'll leave the two other boys to kind of join up and help others, and go back to what you and I have been prophesizing now for quite a while, which is to kind of help formulate the hidden path with like-minded folk and ex-Jedi like Quinlan Voss,
Yeah, that's it.
and others.
Because if Crosshair goes, there's not going to be a Hunter, Wrecker, and Omega show. And even if they add Echo and everybody else, it's like
No,
that's not a cast. Like
no,
if
no,
Crosshair goes, I'm like
no.
this is probably the last we'll see of these characters until they are brought into something else as auxiliary characters. Like
But
there's
not
not going to
only,
be an
but
Omega
not
show
well. No,
unless she's
I
older.
might.
Like I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I was about to respond to your first part of that, which is, um, there's not going to be a Hunter Omega Wrecker show. I don't think there would be, because Omega's way beyond them now.
Yeah,
Way, way beyond them. I mean, she has become someone meaningful in her own right. That, quite frankly, of course, you need family. Of course, you need your brothers. Of course, you need your loved ones around you. And indeed, you need to be a loved one for someone else as well. But quite frankly, the independence
hmm
and uh, just amazing, I don't know, strategy, tactics, self reliance that she's demonstrated during this season, it's phenomenal. She doesn't need him anymore. It's that simple. And so, if there was to be another show, and it did feature Omega. Omega will be a leader. She'd be leading this. I mean, add 10 years on. I mean, how long was the gap between Order 66 and New Hope? Are we talking 20 years, 22 years, 30 years, 22? About 22 years, isn't it? Something like that. Anyway, point being, add another 10 years onto this. So she's what, 12 at the moment? 10, 10, 11, 12 at the moment? So she's in her early 20s. She's going to be a leader of some kind, whether it's to do with the rebellion, the hidden path, whether it's, she takes over a criminal syndicate. I doubt it, but that might be an option for her. But the point being is that whatever she does, she's going to be out there helping people. And if they are a threesome, a trio, if they are a trio, she's going to be leading them without a doubt.
Wrecker should probably sit the next one out because that dude's had 9 concussions this season.
I was about to say, it's like how many times has he ended up on his ass this season? Yeah.
All that to say, I just wanted to mean something. Like,
I'm with you, mate.
Just make it count. Make something count. Like if the whole show just wraps up with Crosshair being a sacrifice to save whatever, that's fine. Like,
yeah,
but make it meaningful. Make it have an impact. Make it.
I think we'll be satisfied at the end. I think, as with all these things that we love and we get engaged about, we speculate to the point that we speculate so much that it's almost impossible to realize what we're speculating, and actually probably wouldn't be a very good TV show anyway. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? I mean, there's so much. There's so much speculating we've done in what how many weeks it's been? 3 in 13 weeks, 12 weeks. Sorry, that quite frankly, if you squeeze everything that we speculated into one show, it would be so bloated and lardy that quite frankly it wouldn't be worth watching. So keep it clean, keep it lean. Let's see a really satisfying conclusion, and let's see the promise of something that could happen potentially in the future.
Yeah, and I think
I'm all right with that.
To that point, it's like the whole thing that makes it so emotional is like it's the end of the show. Like that's
yeah.
If it was just the end of the season, it'd be like I don't give a shit what happens. Just cliffhangers, whatever. But you never know.
But don't forget the Bad Batch came out of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
There's no reason why they can't be a component of another show with a few more folk involved, or a few different folk involved. Who knows? It's been a good stint. It has been a really, really good stint, especially the first half. The first half of the season so far has been some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen. It's been phenomenal. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. And because it has been so good, I've been prone to speculate in the most weird and wonderful things. But it's been tight, and you can't accuse the production team of doing nothing but their best. So I'm pretty cool.
Nice.
And that's, oh my goodness me! Look at us. 1 hour 40. Before recording this evening, we said to each other, it's been a pretty slow week. I don't think we'll have a lot to talk about.
I'm genuinely shocked at how long we talked about Bad Batch, because it's like I was sitting in the camp of like I don't have a lot to say about it. I'm just like I'm interested to see what comes up. But if you build it, they will come. Well,
it's because we care. It's because we care about the characters as well. I mean, at the end of the day, any of us can watch a 20-minute episode of any kind of media, and if we're not invested, chances are the discussion will be quite short.
Mm-hmm.
But we're invested in these people, and Omega in particular. She's been through a lot, and I think she's pretty awesome.
She's one of my favorites.
They do. Well, I do hope they take this into something that's really quite meaningful. I can see, in the same way that Filoni took Ahsoka and some of the Rebels crew into the Ahsoka TV series. I would love for, just knowing how independent and deep and really deep Omega is as a young girl. It'd be great, wouldn't it be great to take her story into a more serious um, live action production like Andor, for example? Get Gilroy writing for Omega. How amazing would that be?
That'd be amazing. I'd love to see her as like a humanitarian leader and like just her empathy that she has for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Just be a leader of that kind of initiative. I think that'd be really cool.
Would she be too young to talk to be in season 2 of Andor? Bearing in mind that's 5 years prior to A New Hope, with every three, is it every 3 episodes being a year in the 5 years, something like that.
I could see Gilroy. I could see Gilroy pushing back on like bringing.
Bringing other people's influence in. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. But it would be amazing
Yeah.
to see her 10 years from now, and the experiences she's been through, and the people that she has led to
Mm.
freedom. That would be awesome. All right, man. One more week, and then we get the finale.
Yep. We're getting. This is the last time we're gonna. By the time next time we record, we will have the answers. We'll know.
We'll have all the answers. And then we do need to put some time in for Shogun. We need to work this out properly because it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and it's the. I mean, it follows the book. I mean, very very quickly, it follows the book really really well, and it it's similar but very different. I know it's an oxymoron, but listen to me, to the 80s production with Richard Chamberlain in it. It follows the same story, but very very differently.
Mhm.
And I'd love to spend the time with you, talking to you about the differences between the original 80s production and this. I mean, the very very least, it's a lot more realistic because that's where we are in filmmaking these days. But yeah, I'd love to spend a good chunk of time on discussing our thoughts of the show, and discussing maybe whether it should continue or not, because officially we're at the end of the book. That's
Yep.
the end of the book. But good God, it will be amazing if they get some writers and to take that story forward. But we'll do that another day, for another
Yes, sir.
time, for
Yes,
another time.
sir.
All right, buddy. Well, I look forward to talking to you next week. Should we say goodbye to our friends?
Goodbye, friends. If you want to send us a voicemail or email, go to our website, justchillin.com. You can find all links to that crap there. Yeah. Goodbye. Thank you for listening. We tried to get under an hour 45, and here we are. But dude, it's like clockwork. It's
We're
crazy.
fated. We're fated, mate. It's an art form now. Look after each other. Look after yourselves. Stay happy. Stay safe. And look forward to speaking to you all again a week from now. Take care. Bye.
Bye.